We're live.
Are we live?
It says meeting is now live.
Hello. We're live. Hello. Welcome to Expo Day. We are in the Spiritual Events Directory, and my name is Julie Lewin, and this is my beautiful daughter, Tash Lewin. And we are talking about your intuitive language. So, Tash, are you happy to start and talk about the 5 languages that we talk about?
Sure. Do you want me to talk about how we came to
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, so I'm just going to let
why?
everyone know that we are going to record this session just so that we've got it for future. Okay.
Cool.
Away you go, Tash.
Okay. So some people might have already heard our story in some of the other lives and groups that we've been in with Michelle Scott, but I'm going to reiterate for those that haven't. So I guess I'm going to go back to the beginning last year when we decided, well, I had a vision of teaching people how to create their own oracle card deck that I had completed doing graphic design for one of Mum's friends, Steph Capris, and we completed her deck, and it was such an amazing experience, and I enjoyed it so much. And I'd been feeling a little lost with my graphic design. I didn't know if it was a thing I wanted to continue doing, but I remembered that I really loved teaching because I used to teach graphic design as a design lecturer, and I had written a graphic design diploma. I was like, well, maybe it's teaching that's calling me. I've been on this 18-month journey of trying to rediscover myself and figure out what it is that I want to do with my life and who I want to help. And so the end of last year, I came to Mum and was like, why don't we teach people how to make their own oracle card deck? Because obviously
Yes.
Mum has created hers.
Whoops.
I had assisted her in creating that. And we'd just finished working with Steph. I was like, I loved it so much. What if we do that? And then we're like, well, maybe that will be next year's project. Maybe we'll do it next year. And there was a lot of like feeling into it and thinking about it. And we hadn't really done anything. Like, when I get back from New York, then it will all happen. Then we'll figure it out. And I got back from New York at the end of January. And as everyone probably knows, COVID happened. And well, actually, sorry, it didn't quite happen then. We did our mind, body, spirit. We tested the waters. We found someone who joined straight away to do our one-on-one program with us for creating her own oracle card deck. And then COVID happened. And then we were like, oh, no, I don't think now is the right time to launch that. And so I've been seeking a way of linking what it is that we do, like that Mum and I do on a day-to-day basis in creating our business and figuring out what it is that we want to do and see what those daily practices are. And obviously linking in Mum's Arakira work to find a way to bridge where people are to where they're ready to co-create their oracle card deck. And so that's where the intuition came in, because I unconsciously was using my intuition. Just on a day-to-day basis, I would always be seeking clarification for what was happening in my world through my intuition. And I would be having conversations with my business bestie, Amanda Vodek, who is divine, if you haven't met her. And stuff would happen in our world. I'd be like, oh, that's what this means. So it's like we were talking about where we wanted to go with our separate businesses. And then a car screeched outside her house. And I was like, oh, we need to put the brakes on that. That's not quite right yet. She's like, what? I'm like, well, didn't you hear the car screech outside? Like, symbolically, that would mean putting the brakes on. She's like, wow, that's so amazing. And that would happen just generally in our conversations. I would see the symbolism of the signs around me and interpret those and find the story within them to determine where I needed to go next.
Yeah.
And so then quiz kind of came about through that in an effort to consciously unlock and understand how I was using that.
Oh, hang on a minute,
unconsciously.
Tash.
No, go
I
for it.
don't think we've told people about the quiz.
Well, I'm probably not in here. No.
No. But first of all, I'm just over here and we have Zoe, we have Kerry, we have Yvonne, we have Kim, we have Lisa, we have Janice, we have Daisy, we've got Kira, we've got Angie. Hello from Tassie.
Ladies.
And Kerry's going, it was a good quiz. And we've got New Zealand. What Oracle decks did you create, please? Oh, before we keep going, I'll show you.
That's all right.
So these are my Arakira Oracle decks. So this is what I did. Oh gosh, Kira, maybe 2013, I published the first incarnation, and we did these, the second incarnation, maybe 4 years ago. And then we've helped Stephanie Kakris with her parenting oracle cards last year. And we've just created, we're a little bit excited. We have just created, or Tash has just created the oracle deck that goes with the intuitive quiz. They will be arriving next week. So the
prototype will be arriving next week.
The prototype, yes. So that arrives next week. So they're the decks that we've personally created and worked on. And let me see what other comments we have here. Good quiz, Kerry. Thank you. So we will share with you the quiz. But first of all, we want to talk a little bit about, hi, Kel, hi, Doreen, hi, Donna. Oh my gosh, Cheryl's from the UK.
Aww.
And Gabby and Yvonne. Okay, so
we can talk about what the quiz is.
If we talk about the quiz, and there's 5 dominant languages. So what are they again?
So there's 5 that we're talking about. There is a 6th that some people might know about, but it kind of felt like it fit in with the other 5 as a secondary part of it. So I didn't include it in the quiz. And it's clear taste, in case anyone accesses that. I do, but it kind of
taste.
Yeah, it kind of comes through the smell for me if I'm accessing taste. So that's why I didn't include it in the quiz, in case anyone noticed. So the 5 that we talk about is clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, clairaudience, which is clear hearing, clairsentience, which is clear feeling, clairalliance, which is clear smelling, and claircognizance, which is clear knowing.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes. And what we feel is that it's so funny, as you start to tap into it more, you start to notice the words that you use. So we all have access to all 5 of them, that we can use them at different times. But what I found when I consciously set about using my intuitive languages is that I have one that I call my dominant, that is the first in the sequence of signs that I get. So I'll often get multiple signs and I'll get them at multiple times doing different things, but I'll always get a flash of a vision first. And so, like, how interesting would that be if everybody has a dominant that they're receiving, but not necessarily consciously receiving? And so the idea that we might be missing signs and signals that we can be following to get our synchronicity happening in our life, if we're not accessing them or we're not consciously aware of them, then we might be missing those signposts to keep us on path. So what I found was that the more I used them and the more I connected in and got messages from the subtle realm, the more in flow and on path I was more of the time. So there was less of the efforting and struggle and going, like the angst of not being able to figure out what it is that I meant to do. kind of fell away, the more I consciously accessed this system, this way of connecting in and co-creating.
So why don't we share with everyone, because Kerry says here, and I'll put the link in there, guys, the oraclecreator.com/quiz. And Kerry's got feelings. So my dominant one is feeling as well. And so when you do the quiz, you might actually be a little bit surprised at what you get, but that might be your unconscious dominant one, and then the other things flow, just like Tash has said, because I do many of them as well. But the feeling one and how I related to that is when we're clairsentient, we will actually say things like, oh, I feel you. Can you feel that? How do you feel might be what you ask people. And then I have a friend who says, I hear you, Julie. I hear what you're saying. Did you hear that? So they're clairaudient at the dominant, like that's their unconscious dominant language. And then other people might say, I see you. Did you see that?
Like,
I'm
oh,
seeing
I
you.
see. We're like, oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Is what I say like all the time. And when I started connecting in consciously, that's what I realized. Like I can now hear the words that I'm saying and going, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then make a point of saying, and I'm like, oh, did you see that? Like, oh, but I'm clairvoyant, so I do see things. And then being able to then listen into what language people are using, and then be able to go, oh, they're using a lot of hearing words, so I need to communicate in a way that they're going to pick up, that they're going to understand naturally.
Exactly. And Janice is saying she's clair-knowing. So that's when you just know stuff. And if you, like Tash has just said, can start communicating with people by cluing into the words that they're using, that's going to be really helpful for better communication. And I noticed this in some of my work because I do guided meditations, when I put all of the clairs into the guided meditation, I can tell you that the energy just drops more deeply and everyone has a great experience. So that's something to think about as well. Now, what I wanted to do here is just do a quick wrap of all of the difference. So clairaudience, Tash, what are some of the signs that people will know with clairaudience?
Now I don't have my book.
The hearing, so
yeah, it's like hearing. So you might hear, well, it might be sounds in the world. So you'll often go, oh, the clock's chiming. That's a thing to remember. Or something to take note of. So all of these, the way that I utilize them is that it's a thing to take note of, and a thing to go, oh, what's the symbolism of that? Where else do I need to take notice of that in my life? So sometimes with like the alarms and the chimes and like sounds that are just a singular sound that kind of comes in, it's more of a take note of what you are thinking about just then. Like right then, what were you thinking about? Or what were you saying? Or what were you doing? It's time to take notice of that because that's important. If you might hear song lyrics, like just start playing in your head. So take note of what the lyrics are and if there's any symbolism within the lyrics. You might think of a song and then have it play on the radio. Or you might be thinking about something and then a song plays on the radio. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Those song lyrics are kind of fun. But then if you start hearing more and more song lyrics that have the similar theme, you're like, oh, you should take note of that. Anything that makes you take notice is a thing to explore.
So Kerry's saying, I would like to be able to tap into it more. So we've got something coming up, Kerry, that I think will be really helpful to help you to tap into that more. But for whatever, everyone gets a report. When you do the quiz and pop in your email address, the report will come, and it's got ways that you can help yourself develop your dominant Claire more. And then we're thinking, so you guys are going to be the first to know, we're thinking of creating a little membership where we teach you everything that we've developed or learned about intuition, with fortnightly lessons and clearings and catch-ups. So if that's something that you would like, please say yes in here, because that will prompt us to actually go and build it. We've nutted it out, and you know, if people don't want it, then we won't do it, but if you do, we will do it. So look at all those hearts coming up, Tash. That's lovely. And Patricia here, Patricia says hello, so thank you. And Nat's just joined us. Kerry says that sounds good. So yes.
Also, just as a thing you can do now, like the more that you tap in, so the more that you seek the symbolism within it, the more you get shown. So the more you consciously do it, the more comes in, because then they're like, oh, well, this is a way that's working. This is how we can communicate. Your team in the subtle realm is who I'm referring to when I say they, that they can come in more knowing that you're hearing and understanding what they're communicating. So if you're a journaling kind of person, so as you get like a hearing sign or signal, or you hear an instruction, write it down and then kind of seek further clarification on that. So ask yourself some questions about where else is that showing up? What's the symbolism of that? And do some Googling and look up the symbolism of it. And just figure out the story and how that connects with what's happening right now, if that makes sense. So like in the case of hearing the car, like Audient isn't my dominant. That's not the one that shows up the most for me. But sometimes it does. And if I'm not listening, then they'll get more vocal about it. Do you mind if I share a quick story, Mum?
Please do.
What happened last night? So we were cooking hot chocolate last night. We were making Spanish hot chocolate on the stove, and we had found a recipe and we were following the recipe, and I was a little bit gloating about just reflecting, saying, oh, I love that we're people who can look at a recipe and figure it out and make that thing. And I wish everyone understood that that's a thing everyone can do, that you can look at a recipe and make it, that it's a practice, not a talent that you're born with. And I was doing this and I was kind of in my own world, and I had a flash of the recipe and like the corn flour. I was like, no, I got it. I've got it. I did it. I followed the instructions. I'm all good. And so I ignored it. And then this voice like outside of my head was like, look at the recipe. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I don't need to look at the recipe. I've got this. I was like, look at the recipe. I'm like, no, it's fine. And then I was watching the hot chocolate and it wasn't thickening. It was starting to boil, but it wasn't thickening. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Like, but it's fine. It just takes time. And it's like, look at the recipe. I'm like, no, I'm good. I've got this. I looked at the recipe. I figured it out. I understand what I need to do. Thanks, voice, but no. And then my arm got tired because I had to keep stirring this hot chocolate that wasn't thickening. And so Steve took over. I'm like, oh, I'll just quickly look at the recipe. And I scrolled to it and I looked at the corn flour and it said half a tablespoon, not half a teaspoon, like I had put in. And I was like, oh, shit, damn it. Fine, you were right. Okay, I'll put more corn flour in. And so I put the corn flour in and it thickened immediately, obviously. But because, well, one, it's not the dominant way that I get vision, but I ignored the vision that I was shown. And so they had to communicate in a different way, but I still was ignoring it. And so it wasn't happening. And so we often will do this in our life where they're trying to give us instruction, like they're trying to share things and trying to guide us on our path, but we're going, no, I've got this. I know what I need to do. And you try and do it yourself. Like you try and effort your way through it because we've got this.
Yeah.
And the minute that I'm like, fine, all right, I'll listen to you, then I got the ingredient that I needed to make it all come together.
Yeah.
So only as I'm talking it out loud now do I realize exactly the symbolism that was in what happened.
Yeah.
And that prior to doing all of this work consciously, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to do it myself. I was trying to effort my way through, like, I've got this, I'm smart, I know what I need to do, I can figure it out.
So what happens, what I'm hearing you say is basically listen to all of the different clairs that are happening in your world, not just your dominant one. And then you will feel like you're more in flow and more things will open up for you.
Yeah, so I think it's important that people know what their dominant is because that's what's going to be coming first.
Yeah.
So if we're not taking notice, then we'll be shown lots of things.
So but basically, do the quiz is the important thing.
So do the quiz, learn your dominant, start using that consciously. And then once you're understanding how the signs and signals and symbolism is coming through your dominant, then you can start exploring how the other clairs support that and provide like additional information or further clarification for that sign and signal. Much the same way if people are doing like a card reading, like you might then pull some other clarification cards to get more details.
So why don't we do that, Tash? Why don't we use those cards that you've created and do a couple of it's a prototype, guys. So this is what we teach our students in the Oracle Creator. Do your prototype and then share that with people. So this is what we're doing. We're walking our talk here. So Tash has got a little prototype. So who would like a reading? Just say yes, please. And we will do a reading for you. So Tash already chose a card for this session and you got Lizard, Tash. So what does that mean?
I did. So Lizard is about transformation and this idea that we're able to regenerate. And so, well, that's what I take from is like that if there's any danger, then we leave a part of us, like we discard a part of us that isn't required anymore because it was linked to trauma. Like it was linked to any pain in our past. And so we discard that bit because we know that we can grow back. We know that we can grow back what we need. So just discard that. We're in a time of healing right now. We're a time of clearing. There's another eclipse coming, and it's a time to discard all of that and release what doesn't serve us anymore. And that we can regenerate and we can grow new bits of us to fill that hole.
Beautiful.
To move forward.
Yeah. So Tash, it's going off here. So we have Debbie Elliott. She was #1 and she's a top fan of the Spiritual Events Directory. So let's do a card for Debbie.
So a question or just pull a card?
Just pull a card and we'll see what comes.
And I wait till a card jumps out, just in case anyone's wondering. It's a lot of cards, so I'm going to go on top. Actually, there's 3. Okay, so joy was the first one. So about finding ways to seek the joy in the everyday. So in the everyday moments, even when they're hard, even when they're painful, is finding the joy within that. So even if it's like you're going within and you're discovering like why things are happening, what the root is to get to the joy within it. because there's a joy when you shine a light.
Oh, bless.
Shine a light on the shadow.
Yes.
Then joy comes.
It does.
And so it's not about hiding from the pain or the trauma. It's about shining a light on it and uncovering.
Yeah.
And then you'll get your joy. And lizard was the second one. So
what was the second one?
Lizard.
Wow.
Yeah, again. And then I got seeing someone. So the symbolism that I seek in that is that, well, obviously there's a lot of questions that you can ask about seeing someone, because it could be seeing someone new or seeing someone you haven't seen for a while. And perhaps there's some healing to do with that seeing someone that you haven't seen for a while. Like it could be bringing up, because we're in like the end of a cycle right now. And so within that end of cycle, sometimes we need to revisit relationships of the past in order to shine a light on them, heal any unconscious trauma or unconscious pain or unconscious attachments that came with that past relationship, in order to get the joy and regenerate and have the healing.
Yeah, beautiful. So we have Janice Harvey. Janice has said yes, please. So what have we got for Janice?
Plants. It's an interesting one.
Plants.
Oh, plants.
Growing plants.
So what I get with plants is recognizing that there is a season involved with growing something, and that in order to have a fully grown plant that is providing you fruit or sustenance, you need to plant the seed. And once you've planted the seed, you need to nurture the seed. So you need to nurture it. You need to provide it fuel. You need to provide it sunlight. You need to give it love. And while you're nurturing it, then it can grow. And once it's fully grown, that's when you can reap anything from it. You can't reap anything when it's still in the growing stage.
That's right.
And you can't reap anything if you haven't planted the seed. So you need to start planting the seeds and recognize which stage you're at in any of your plantings. And you might be planting multiple things, and they might be at different stages of growth. And it's understanding that simply because someone else is in a stage of reaping doesn't mean that you are. And it's accepting the stage that you're in of your growth. And going, okay, well, if I'm in growing and nurturing stage, then I need to nurture, and it's okay that someone else is reaping all of these rewards and I really want them, but I'm not there yet. I'm still nurturing and growing.
Beautiful.
And I will get to my stage of reaping.
Well, as we've just done Janice, and that's planned, I think it would be a really good time to talk about Claire Alliance, which is the smelling Claire, and then we will come and do Patricia's reading. So Claire Alliance is about the smells, isn't it? And
it is.
So
we've had a few. We've had like at least 3, maybe more dominant Claire Alliance, which I was not expecting. Mostly because I just assume that it is the one that is a secondary that provides additional information, because that's how I get it. And it's fascinating to think that there are people who get smells as their dominant form, like their dominant sign. And so sometimes the way that that comes through is like really connected to the other side, like that you might get smells that are associated with people on the other side that you knew, or people that you didn't know that you might be connecting into for other people. And if you get a smell, sharing that smell, you might have people go, oh, that's my so-and-so. They used to wear that scent, or they used to smoke, or as my great-grandfather used to do, they used to smoke pot. And so you might get that smell, as I used to get frequently when I was driving with all the doors closed in the middle of nowhere, and I would get like wafts of pot smoke in my face and be like, oh, hi, Grandpa, thanks for keeping me safe while I'm driving.
Yeah.
And so it's one, you can seek the symbolism of what the smell is, but also who and what memories are attached to that smell for you, or
Yeah,
what
because there could
comes
be a
up.
message in there for you, a bit like hearing the words of a song. So
Absolutely.
you need to explore it a bit further than just, oh, there's that smell. And then look at what's coming up to the surface of your mind as a result of that smell.
So it might be really important for anyone who is clairaudience dominant to determine what their other signs and like their other senses are, like what other clairs they connect in with, because it will provide additional information to the smell. So you might get an information download if claircognizance is your secondary, or you might get some visions, or you might hear something, or you might get physical sensations. So it's seeking the deeper meaning of everything that's being shown.
Yeah. And what happens is it adds a richness to your life when you start exploring those little signs and signals. So we might move on now, Tash, to Patricia Agropatty. She said, yes, please. So Patricia, and then we'll do Gabby, and then we'll talk about another Claire. And both Tash and what did you get?
When I didn't want to go back down into the pack. So I got boredom. So what I'm getting from boredom is not so much, oh, that's a negative emotion, oh, you shouldn't be bored. It's actually in that state of boredom that inspiration can come. That sometimes we fill our lives so much and we're always doing, we're always thinking, we're always consuming, like things are always coming in, that we don't actually have a moment to receive. And so it's in that moment of like allowing yourself to feel bored, like, oh, what should I be doing? Of sitting and contemplating and just seeing what comes in, like what comes through. That we've associated like this negative emotion with boredom, that we shouldn't be bored, that kids shouldn't be bored, that you always need to be doing something. Otherwise, if you're not doing something, that you're not achieving. But I find that it's those moments of boredom, or quiet, if you don't want to use the word boredom, of stillness, of just sitting and staring off into space, that you'll start actually getting those signs and signals more clearly. That they'll start coming in consciously because you allow space for them.
Beautiful. I hope that is helpful for you. Now we've got a message back from Debbie Elliott, and she said, oh, thank you. Wow, so spot on with how I'm feeling, brought tears. It's been a hard road. Love, heart, my husband, and stars, bless him, and more hearts. So thank you, Deb, for your feedback. And that's really beautiful. So I think we've got more yeses here than we can do, but that's okay. So Gabby is next. So let's do Gabby.
Okay. Well, I got the beach. So whether that's like memories of the beach, or so what I'm getting is like a nostalgia feeling. So the nostalgia of going to the beach as a child and just that freedom and like bliss of not needing to be anywhere, not needing to do anything, that you're on a holiday and that all you have to do is feel joy. Like all that's required of you is to explore and to go in and find new creatures, or to go in the ocean and just be, like that you have permission to just be at the beach.
Nice.
Even if it's where you live, when you go onto the sand and you go into the ocean, or you just are there, like you've given yourself permission to just be and not to have to do or plan or think in that moment. And I'm feeling like it's consciously building that into your life, that you have those moments where you have permission to just be.
Yeah. And I hope that is helpful for you, Gabby. That was Gabby, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So why don't we talk now about clairsentience, the feeling?
Sure. I mean, you can probably talk to that one since that is yours.
So I am clairsentient. So I feel, so people with clairsentience, you're going to feel in your body. You're going to even feel possibly, well, I'm a medical intuitive, so I feel other people's pain. I feel other people's emotions. So I'm very empathic as well. And so when I know that it's actually not my stuff, and sounds really odd, but it kind of comes in one ear and out the other. It's like a wave passes through me and I catch the thought or the essence of somebody as they pass through me. And then the next thing that I get is the vision or the hearing, but it's that sense of that person and I feel them first. And so that if you can develop that, you'll become more telepathic as well. And so with all of these clairs, the way that you can develop them is keep a journal. Write down what you
track them.
Tracking it. And that's going to make a difference for developing it as well.
Creating a resource for that as well. Like we're creating a thing that you can do that consciously.
To track it,
it's in the works.
Yeah, so with
but
feeling...
you also go, oh, I've got goosebumps.
That's right, yes.
All of your clients, all the people that you work with have come to seek that. Like if they call you or they want to get advice or guidance, like they're waiting for you to get the goosebumps because that's the positive confirmation that you receive. And
yes,
so
I do.
I guess it's determining what your positive confirmation in your body is, because it will be different for everybody.
It is, yes.
And because I will get like choked up, like because clairsentience is my secondary that I'm conscious of in the order of signs that I receive. I'll get tingle, like I'll get a rush of tingles. But if it's truth, then I get like a welling of emotion. As you all witnessed.
That's right.
But I'll get like a welling, or depending, sometimes it's like it's linked to the different chakras. So I'll get like a feeling in my gut. Like I'll get a feeling in my solar plexus.
Or a chakra pop. Yeah, I call that
like it pulses, or it'll like, I don't know. Obviously because of the clairvoyance, I see a color or a physical vision of what that looks like as well. But I'll feel it in my body, or I'll get like tingles on my crown chakra if I'm connected in. So different physical sensations can be used as a confirmation signal. If you receive, like if you feel emotions in your body, so this isn't a thing that I unconsciously feel, like I'm not necessarily great at articulating what the different emotions feel like, but I know other people like, oh, I feel sadness or I feel joy, and they have a physical sensation that they attribute to that emotion.
That's right.
So you can use that as a clue and to identify the symbolism of that. And it might well be that you seek the secondary or tertiary signs and signals to provide further clarification on what that is, what memories pop up when you think of that.
Yes. So I hope that has been helpful for identifying and expanding on that, Claire. Patricia has said, so Patricia was the one that you got the boredom card for. And she says, I am thinking always, and I'm always keeping busy, always. I find it hard to sit down for too long. So thanks you. I will have to sit and go in more. Absolutely, Patricia. And Yvonne says
it's a daily practice, like it's a thing to add into your daily routine. So it's not necessarily going to be a thing that you naturally think to do. It might need to be a thing that you schedule in. If scheduling is a thing that you do naturally in your life, that you like to know what it is that you're planning, schedule in the activity of sitting still and going within and just like feeling into that potential boredom where you're like, but I'm not doing anything. Because I'm the same. I totally appreciate that my brain is always going. I'm always thinking. And so I need to make sure that I just schedule that into my day.
Okay, awesome. So let's do Rose or Daisy.
Oh, that just jumped right out.
What jumped out?
Finding something.
Ooh.
So I'm kind of, what I'm seeing is when you find a gold coin, or a piece of money of some kind, when you're walking out and about and you catch a glimpse out of the corner of your eye, you're like, oh, what's that? And then you find that bit of money on the footpath and you're like, oh, I've just been given a gift from the universe because I wasn't expecting that. And so I think it is seeking that feeling of awe and wonder and magic all of the time. So not just when you're finding money, but when you're being given any sign or signal or anything good that's happening, is going, oh, thank you, universe. Thank you for giving that to me.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome,
like
Tash.
Just tapping into that in that moment of going, oh, thank you. And just feeling that gratitude. So not necessarily feeling like you need to sit down and go, what am I grateful for today? Like it's not necessarily about that as a practice, but more in the moment. Every moment where you're receiving something or something happens that is good, going, oh, thank you so much.
That's beautiful. Thank you. So now we've got Kerry Addison says yes. So let's do Kerry. See how we go for Kerry. Beautiful Kerry. And then we'll do Yvonne. Yeah, Kim says, are you okay, Tash? Yeah, she gets a bit choked up sometimes, and that's one of her little clues that she's feeling.
It is. No, I'm not feeling those. So when the cards come, if they sort of weirdly jump out or they jump out as a bunch, like I check in and go, are these the cards? It's like, no. All right. Oh, sorry, I dropped them.
Patricia says, I love your cards. Thank you. So, okay, so we're doing Kerry's now?
Yes.
What happened? What did you get?
Oh, yeah, I dropped them. I got teacher.
Ooh, Kerry.
Yes. Okay, so what am I getting for teacher? So I think it's about you being a teacher, but at the same time is tapping into the feeling of any of the teachers that you've had in the past that have helped you to grow. And it's not necessarily the teachers that you liked, that it's about the teachers that helped you transform. Right. And that sometimes the transformation is painful, or the transformation isn't always the happy, joyful experience that we all crave.
Yeah.
That within the transformation is the darkness, and like the dark night of the soul. Like we have to have those moments in order to transform. The butterfly has to go into the cocoon to come out as the caterpillar has to go into the cocoon to come out as a butterfly. Yep. And so it's reflecting on the teachers within your life who helped you to do that process and to become that kind of a teacher. A teacher that isn't afraid to address the shadow, that isn't afraid to ask their students to go to that transformative place to get there.
Awesome.
And that it's not all rainbows and light.
Yeah. And
that
you know
we have
what?
to have both.
I think this is perfect for you, Kerry. And Tash knows nothing about you, and I think this is perfect. So well done, Tash. So we might do Yvonne Anderson now, and then we will talk a little bit more about one of the other Claires. So let's see what Yvonne gets.
Ooh, I got being rejected. So I'm getting is, oh, yeah. So in that moment when we feel rejected, it's seeking the blessing within that. Because when something is rejected, it allows space for something else to come in.
Yeah.
And that it's not a rejection of you and your essence and your person. It's a rejection of the circumstance.
Right.
And in that moment of feeling rejected, it's just to go, it's like to sit with it and not hide from it, is to feel into that and go, okay, I appreciate that. I look forward to seeing what else is going to be brought in, like what else I'm going to move into. If that's not right, then I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to be right for right now.
Yeah.
And not being afraid of the rejection and not stopping ourselves from doing things in a fear that we're going to be rejected.
Yeah.
This has been a big life path lesson for me as well, as a person.
Beautiful.
It's not having a pathological fear of being rejected and that means that I'm unlovable or I'm not a person that is worthy of connection and love, because that's not truth.
Beautiful.
That is ego and fear. And that you are lovable and that you are worthy of love and worthy of finding the right people to be with you, because you're not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Tash. So now we might talk about one of the other Claires. Have we done a little bit more on clairvoyance?
Yeah, I don't think we've done anything on that.
We'll do clairvoyance.
Obviously, clairvoyance is my dominant. And so what I get with that is obviously it's seeing visions. So I'll get like a flash of a vision, or sometimes it's sustained. Most often it's a flash and I have to be like, wait, what was it? What did I see? And so in that moment, I'm like, if you could just slow down the visions, like if you could just make them clearer or just keep them around longer so that I have time to interpret what it is. I also will always see things in my environment. So I'll see physical signs. For example, what are some of this? It's always so many. But I will often get them when I'm driving. So when there's a hill just outside of my apartment that I have to go up in order to go whichever direction I need to go next. It's always the first thing I have to do. And so I go up this hill and it's like, it's a 2-lane street, but the left side is always parked cars. So you kind of have to see if there's cars coming in your direction before you go. So you always have to wait. And this one day there was a tourist van dropping off backpackers, but they were just parked in the middle of the road. And my initial response was to go, ugh, why are you there? Don't you know I have places to be? Don't you know I have things to do? Why are you blocking my way right now? And as is now my conscious practice, I go, oh, okay, that had a reaction. What's going on? What's deeper within that? Where else in my life am I feeling like that? Or where else in my life am I being asked to just pause? To just take a breath and just wait for the circumstances to be right. Because right now there's an obstacle in my way and there's no way around it. There's no way that I can go anywhere else I just have to wait.
Have to wait.
So where else in my life am I being asked to wait?
Yeah, that's awesome, Tash.
So that's how I interpret like physical signs in my environment that I see. Like, what's the symbolism of that? Where else is that showing up in my life? And that can be said for all of the signs.
All of the clairs. Ask,
not just the fish.
Where else is that sign showing up? That is really, that's probably the most helpful thing that we can share with you today. Now, Yvonne has said, thank you so much, Tash. I know exactly what you're referring to, sweetheart. And Kerry says, I have felt I was a caterpillar turned into a butterfly. So you're doing very well, Tash.
Good.
And your cards are really sparking some comments here. So
the things I like about the cards, as I'm going to share. So the cards that we're sharing, that we're creating, only have words on them. So they don't have like graphics to be interpreted, because I really want people to focus on what the word is and what symbolism and signs come through for that word. And if you don't mind me sharing a little story about my experience with the cards. So whenever I go and I have a weekly lunch, I go and meet my bestie, Amanda, once a week. And I always take the cards. We always use them. And we use them as kind of conversation starters for things that we need to explore and address in our lives. And so I haven't necessarily had a close relationship with my brother as adults. We never really connected as grown-ups and developed a relationship like I see a lot of other families do. And I was talking about this with Amanda because I had some cards come up. I was like, oh, that's related to the relationship with my brother. And I shared some of that, and I had some realizations, and I released some hurt, like some wounds. I was like, oh, that's really great. Yay for me. I didn't really think anything more of it. But then my brother texted me out of the blue and shared that he was going through a hard time, and did I know anyone he could talk to? I was like, that's so weird. He doesn't normally contact me when he's in like what I call his dark place. Like when he's not doing so well, he doesn't normally contact me. It's only when he's doing well that he contacts me. And I thought how special that was. And then the other day he called me out of the blue, and that doesn't happen. We don't call each other. That's not the kind of relationship we had. But he called me to ask if I could do something for him. And then we just talked about our lives. I was like, oh, I feel like they've sparked some healing and some release, and like healing some wounds that I didn't realize that's what these were. When I first developed them, I'm like, that will be a laugh, ha ha ha. That'll be something fun for people to do.
Yeah.
And then the more I use them, the more I'm like, oh, I'm getting some like real like memories and some real like trauma stuff that it's enabling me to release and heal. And I'm like, that's really amazing.
Yeah, that's
not
really
what like I expected from them. And obviously I called them in. It was a real co-creation process. I didn't set out intending to create cards. I just was asked to do that the day I came out and visited Mum to work in our business. She went away for an hour to go to the dentist, I think. And then she came back and I'd created a card deck. Because I co-created them, it was so fast. Yeah. And I was like, well, this wasn't me. These were called in. And I'm just really grateful that other people are also getting that opportunity to heal today.
They are, yes.
Not just happening for me because I made them, that it is also sparking healing for other people.
Yes, really and do you know what? There are so many people here, Tash. We've only got 5 more minutes. So many people have said yes. Here's what I'm going to suggest, guys, that you come over and you join our group.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Co-Creators Club.
The Co-Creators Club, like our page on Facebook, The Oracle Creator. And we will come in and we will do more of these readings because it sounds like you're really loving them. Yeah. So all of you that have said yes, and we haven't got to you yet, we're trying to accommodate you all, but it's
We just don't
not
have the
going to,
time.
we don't have that time. Tuakana says she relates to your story. That's beautiful.
Mm.
Mandy sends a heart. She says, 2 beautiful ladies. Oh, the cards are beautiful. I really related to your message. And she is planting lots of seeds. That's Janice.
Yay.
And let's have another look up here. Mandy, sounds like he loves you, Tash.
Oh.
That makes me want to tear up. And Yvonne says your cards are beautiful. Diana, if you come over to our page and join our group, then you'll have an opportunity to have us give you some guidance about how dreams are being guided by spirit and your visions. So one of the things that I really pride myself on is sticking to timings and not going over. And that's because I respect everyone's time and I respect my own time. Yvonne says, yep, I've read that one. So let's see what else we've got. So there's a few of you here. Patricia says, I do love your cards and your expression of your cards. Yes, Tash, your expression is very beautiful. She says, thank you for giving me the insight to schedule in some quiet time. So Maria, if you could come over to the other page. We won't do it today because I've still got a whole day's worth of stuff to do. It's a big day on the Spiritual Events Directory and the Expo. So Kira says she's claircognizance and Yvonne says I'm an empath. So, okay, beautiful comments there. And if you haven't done the quiz yet, thank you. I'm looking for a spiritual teacher as I don't quite understand it and why. Very much appreciate it. Thank you. Diana, you're welcome to private message me as well on Medical Intuitive Julie Lewin. And that goes for all of you. If there's any way that we can help you, we will help you. The quiz is theoraclecreator.com/quiz. And we have a page called The Oracle Creator and a group called
Co-Creators Club. Co-Creators
Club.
And
we're a bit excited about that. Tash said that I got a bit ahead of myself in my excitement. And shared it with my friends, and all these people started joining, and she goes, Mum, what have you done? I'm not ready yet. And I said, yes, darling, we are ready. And there's people waiting for us.
Imperfect action. We're just committing to imperfect action.
Exactly.
And just doing things as we've got them.
Everyone for sticking with us and coming and joining us today. We're really thrilled that you gave us your time. I hope we have helped you. Please do the quiz, get your report. There are some wonderful suggestions in there to develop your sense. That is your dominant clair
language,
or your dominant intuitive language. And we look forward to seeing you again. You are very welcome, Deb. Patricia, yes, and I am feeling, but I also found I am seeing. Yay. Fantastic, Patricia. So you can develop both of those. And actually, here's the thing, one last point. When I started on this journey 35 years ago, I didn't know that you have a dominant language. So I set about to develop all of them. So I actually do all 5 of them. And I taste the food that they're cooking on the TV. So I have developed all 6 of the senses. So yes, it is possible. And
is a good idea. So in the membership that we're creating, that's what the goal is, to develop all of them.
Yeah.
But I do really recommend that people develop their dominant, if they haven't already, develop using it consciously, because that's the first sign that will come in. And so being able to witness that in your life just makes it the process easier.
Beautiful. And we're right on time, Tash, so we are going to end.
Okay.
And thank you everybody for joining us, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.